Alright, welcome back. So this is a video that's going to capture a bit of three things. This is a Tecno Camon 15, and it sort of has a problem with the charging in that you really have to hold it in place for it to gain any sort of form of charge. So this video comes your way to show you three things. One, how to open the phone, and then two, we are going to fix the charging system. So we're going to introduce you to some of the concepts in doing that, while including how to perfectly remove the old port, two, how to place the new port, and in doing that we shall teach you how to solder by observation. However, if you want to understand the entire process of soldering, please do watch the soldering video. I'll leave a link right there. Now, that being said, let's begin with the first, which is how to open. In essence, you should be able to take apart the phone without causing any damage that it didn't come with. So first things first, we need to remove the SIM card tray, which we poke using super glue pin. But over time I've noticed that my fingernails at times are strong enough to do that, unless it chooses to disagree today. Okay, that's that. So that pin simply pushes a lever that pushes the SIM card out, so don't mind that I have pulled it out with a finger. For some Samsungs it may be a bit hard because the plastic is hard. Now here you get in with a surgical blade, but Tecnos and Infinix tend to have relatively softer plastic, so I can take advantage of my fingernail. But if that sort of makes you a bit worried, you can use a surgical blade. Now I think this phone may have been opened before, but there's just a step I omitted, which means whenever you see this fingerprint, the idea is always push it down as you lift this cover, so that this does not come off with this, which makes it risky, and most people tend to rip that fiber that goes to the fingerprint sensor. Now, since I'm going to change the charging port, I am interested in the lower subboard, so I'm going to remove those few screws. If you had anything to do with the main motherboard, you will focus on those upper screws. And I had a screwdriver just right now. I decided to run over to the other side. Anyway, I'm trying to see if I can finish this repair in under 10 minutes. And in this repair, I am going to show you how you change the charging port. So in essence, let's get to the charging subboard at the bottom. And okay, I know screwing is a pretty mundane process and there's nothing much to it, so just to get that out, and then this right there. Now, having done that, we go and plug out the coaxial cable, which seems to want to lift along with the subboard. Okay, that comes out. People keep wondering why I keep my fingernails. That's the purpose, and we are interested in that part, so we'll remove this. But because we are going to use hot air, we also remove this rubber so it doesn't fatigue under heat. Anyway, now this is the port. It has done its time. You can see that it had already started widening, meaning its structural integrity was very low or close to insufficient. So we are going to pick this out and show you how to do that. I'm going to use my reflow station, the gadget I use for changing ices, but in essence it's just a giant piece of hot air gun whose temperature and airflow is controllable. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see that on camera because you can't fit under my recording station. Okay, set the temperature to 350 degrees Celsius, and the airflow, I've put it to 6 out of 8. I do not know what units those are, whether it's just a relative scale. Now I need tweezers or what I would call forceps. Let me get them. Oh, sorry, they are there. Now I'm going to apply some flux here so that the solder doesn't oxidize. Okay, since I'm working in restricted space or confined space, I'm going to hold the charging port, lift this board slightly to about half a centimeter above the ground, and then apply hot air to this port so that immediately the solder points melt, it falls under its weight. And that is one of the ways you are able to remove the old port without wreaking any havoc. So these are some of the things you need to know in order to always reproduce a precise solution. I need to pick my set of pots using this as a template. Now let me see if I have any other that looks like that here. Okay, I think that template fits this one. So I'm going to just pick out one pot, and that pot should be just sufficient for our job, and then I can put this aside. Now that we are here, we need to prepare this point to receive the new pot. Just a moment, but before I go any further, I need to check that my solder points are intact, because if they are not, okay, that's okay. They were looking a bit darkish, and this is usually a symptom that they had ripped off, the contact point had ripped off, so this part was sort of just oxidizing. That meant or explains why you had to bend it in order to have it charge. It's like forceful intermittent contact making. Now I am supposed to have a solder suction device. They just seem to always hide. I have two of them. So anyway, even today you don't get to see me use it. I am just going to do this and then quickly remove it, blow a pulse of air to unblock those holes where the anchor points of the ports have to go. Sadly for you, I do it off camera. But I hear you. You can hear that. Now you can see that these two are unblocked as compared to these two. I move this under. You can see it passing through the other two, but not this. I'm going to do the same for this. And they too are open. Now the next step is to get a new port, which is here. But before I do that, I'm going to have to apply flux there. Okay, having done that, bring our new port right there. This soldering gun seems to be extremely hot. Let me try to reduce the temperature from there. I think it's unbecoming for it to be very hot. Okay, now we'll bring our solder. Okay, we are at 8 minutes, so I think we are doing good time wise. I hope in under 15 minutes I shall be done. Okay, sort of like cleaning this tip and cleaning it so it has a fresh veneer of solder. Okay, that said, I'm going to begin with temporarily anchoring those ends. Okay, but under most circumstances I begin by soldering the ports. So let me do just that. It's wiggling. Need to tighten this thing. Due to thermal contraction and expansion, it loosens over time. Strangely, at first one would think play some sort of witchcraft, but it's not the case. It's explainable physics. I really want you to see the solder points, but I don't know whether the exposure, it's fine right there. So what you'd normally do is swab to and fro. Now swabbing to and fro allows the solder at the tip of the soldering gun to flow onto the solder point. Okay, now that is temporarily set there, I need to put solder at the, I really want to stay in focus, but I guess I have no option, just to zoom out such that I don't get out of view. Okay, that's there, bend it in, then that goes there, then that, and that. Now I'm going to apply more solder at that side, now that I noticed the tip of my soldering gun didn't have as much solder at the tip. Okay, so you'll excuse me for that, but I need some solder to work with. This is not usually typical, so that today my soldering gun tip decided not to stay with enough veneer of solder onto it, so I'm going to play with this, share it among the first 3. Okay, that means I'll need some more for the next. Okay, I'm going to begin with that extreme terminal, come all the way. Yeah, it gets really hot, and okay, let me rotate it this way. Okay, I'll have to put that back, but now notice what I'm doing, swapping to and fro. 12 minutes, we will beat the 15-minute time limit. Now I need to clear that part, so let's see what's happening to this pin. Okay, I like to think it has also established contact right there. Okay, and that's good. So I think we are set. I need to just return this somewhere there. This is some sort of antenna, and without it, all right, now that that is done, I think I just need to do some cleaning of the excess flux that decided to spread all over. Yeah, I think cleaning serves 2 purposes: leaving the place neat after repair, and 2, making it clean for visual examination. I don't know, my lighting today is being a bit funny. I hope you guys are able to see that right there. You can see how good the solder points are. And so, in case you needed to know, this terminal and that last one are the power rails. The immediate 2 next to the positive terminal, data positive and data negative, and then that next to the negative terminal is the OTG enable pin. Anyway, I think you might have seen a video that I did on a charging port that was no longer transferring data. I'll link that video right there and see what the problem was. You don't want to preempt it in this video, just watch it right there among the suggested videos. So anyway, we are at 14 minutes, and we now come to the point where we put it back together and test it. I think this goes in using just the sort of visual. I think this is the upper side. So anyway, when you're doing your repairs, some of the things are intuitive. One gives you a hint for where the other has to be. And these rubber paddings are important, though most people at times may forget to put them back, but they help in absorbing or restraining the extent of movement the subboard undergoes when plugging or plugging out the charger or the earphone pin. Okay, now I think I'm full of myself. I'm going to go all the way and close this lower subboard, because at least so far I feel everything went smoothly, and as such my closing is more of like faith that everything is intact up to until the point where we test. So the screws decided to hold on to the magnet. That explains why the thing was resisting sitting in place. Though I'm going to first put the first 3 essential screws, the ones nearest to the charging port, since I'm going to plug in. And I think let me prep my charger ready to come and test this for charging. Okay, where might I have seen that cable? It is here, and then the charger head. Okay, right, the soldering gun has served its purpose. I've just unplugged it out, in as much as you guys haven't seen that on camera. Now let me zoom out and plug in the charger. Oh, I didn't switch off the phone. Anyway, really started soldering anything with it directly plugged in. So you can see it lit up. Let me just power it off such that we can see that nice big charging icon. Shut down, and then unplug it. That initial feedback encourages me to go forward and close the remaining screws. All right. Which seem fewer than I remember. That's weird. Okay, 2 of them I decided to absent mind themselves. All right. So when placing the most essential parts, this seemed not to have. Let's plug it in. Okay, I've plugged it in. The Thunderbolt icon comes in, and then it's 1%. And now, as the trend is, I normally give it 5 minutes and observe the rise in percentage, because that's the ultimate test that it is charging. And that being said, please do hit the subscribe button, and if you're willing to wait along with me for the 5 minutes, well and good. But here at Opioz Laboratory, the aim is to show you a repair from opening to finishing and closing and testing, so that in case you simply want to perform an exact similar repair on an exact similar device, you're able to retrace the steps. Then the next thing is we follow them up with review videos, where we review the concepts that we underwent during that particular repair, to sort of give you some courage in performing the repair, like give you half or partial information on that repair. For instance, we mentioned soldering, so we push you towards the soldering video, but ultimately the last set of video is purely theoretical. We introduce you to the physics or science behind the repair. That means we will teach you how each element behaves, how to measure it when dead, so that you are equipped with knowledge enough to be independent of any repair we have or have not done. That sort of equips you with the ability to do repairs from first principles. So as long as it's a device, you can take it apart. What remains is just taking measurements and figuring out what has failed and what hasn't. Of course, usually that is helped by history taking from the client. If you don't get a proper description of events surrounding the time the device failed, it becomes a bit hard to pinpoint the problem. That means you're going to literally go through every single thing. For instance, this one. The person came and said it doesn't charge, but then went on to shed some light that it only charges when the pin is held at a certain position, which is suggestive of a fatiguing port. Now I usually change the entire port, but depending on the circumstances, if the client has really squeezed me on the price, what I normally do is reuse this port, clean those, resolder them, and then try to undeform them, and it can push them for some time, but we know once a port starts aging, it's just a matter of few days or weeks for it to give up entirely. For instance, you may find at these points right there, like if you, I don't know whether you look at them carefully, they start chipping off. So it's just best to start them off on a new port altogether. So today we managed to strike a compromise, but it just depends on how the client speaks, because at times we are also human, and it's quite normal to be cash strapped at some point. So that's where we are. I think I've spoken enough. I know 5 minutes haven't elapsed, but let me just wake up the screen. We see what percentage it is at. Okay, it is at 2%, so it is rising in percentage. And let me go on to bring the last parts together, and we bring this together. So all right, see you in the next video, and feel free to turn on the notification bell so that any single moment I upload a video, you're the first to be notified. Never know, it may be a video that profits you. And again, knowledge is profitable. The more the merrier. Okay, now I have to unplug. Right, and then I think, because I am going to give this on advice on how to make this port prolong, I think I might as well do it on camera. Now, one thing you have to notice is that this port, you saw how it anchors on the board, is designed to only handle pushing and pulling force. Anything that bends it like this is not encouraged. It's actually the reason I normally tell people not to use their phones while charging, because in most cases you're tempted to move your phone around, and unbeknownst to you, you're actually bending this like this. But if you're, they call it what, if you're disciplined enough maybe to use it on a flat surface, then it's all right. You're not actually bending. Of course, the other reason is heating up while charging, but to me, as a person fixing the port, I'm more interested in you not bending my port. Yeah, so that's why I find a port that has been replaced like this, I find someone actually using it for years, and yeah, so that's that, guys. Thanks for being with me all this far, and see you in the next video. I know I've said that already, but I guess I didn't want you to miss out on the tip. See you.